And welcome back to Live in the Hall at GMA's annual convention. I'm Amy Henderson with GMA, and I'm joined by Mayor Jan Moore of Statesboro, who served as the chairman of a task force on workforce development for cities. And Jan, tell us a little bit about what that task force was looking at.
Well, initially, President Boyd Austin back in October appointed me to chair that task force because of the experience I have in my private life when I'm not serving as a public servant. But it was workforce issues kept coming up over and over with our constituency, excuse me. And so we want to look at and say, you know, what are the issues facing municipalities workforce-wise? So 21 elected officials and their appointees served on this task force, and we worked over the course of 9 months, basically, maybe a little bit less, to come up with a report for GMA.
And the report is being released this weekend, and I know there's a couple concurrent sessions that we're doing today and tomorrow about the workforce development issue. What were some of the things that you guys found?
I will tell you probably the most profound thing that we found was recruitment and retention is a major issue. And that's consistent with what we're seeing around the state and the country. But it's unique for municipalities because people don't look at a municipality and necessarily understand all of the jobs that are involved in running that.
And we were just talking to Jason Moss with the Manufacturing Alliance, and I think it's probably, and what he was saying there too, is people think manufacturing and they think, you know, you're working on the line, but there are so many other jobs involved with manufacturing. I think it's the same thing for city government. There are so many different types of jobs. Where were some of the key areas that you guys saw that cities have a need for new employees, or there's maybe a critical issue going on?
Well, I'll touch, you know, I kind of go back to something that you just said, that in manufacturing, everybody thinks of the jobs on the line.
Right.
Well, if you think of cities, they think about the folks that you see out there working on water lines or sewer lines or public works with, you know, the greenery and those kinds of things. But probably the one job that's garnering the most attention right now, and it's doing that across the country, is public safety.
Wow.
You know, the recruitment of police, fire not so much, but police is a huge issue. I don't think you'll find any municipality in the state that will tell you that they are 100%, you know, filled in positions with public safety. But then you go to other things. You go to things like water and sewer, finding folks that are trained and have the certifications to deal with water systems. And you know how critical they are. Just go ask the people in Flint, Michigan. You better get that right.
And I think you mentioned at the board meeting, you were kind of giving an update on this the other day, that is it Public Works where you have the oldest group, I mean the longest serving group of employees who are going to be leaving? So it's kind of that expertise is leaving.
That's right. Our head of our water department just retired after 37 years. The week he graduated from high school, he went to work there.
That's so cool.
And he just retired, and we found out just looking at ourselves internally that the average, not age, but the average years of experience in working within that department was over 20. So we know we've got a huge gap that we're going to have to fill.
And where does that next wave of workers come from? I mean, and especially you mentioned the certification, and you work at Ogeechee College, Technical College, as Vice President for Economic Development.
That's a mouthful, isn't
it? I know, it is. It is. I'm really kind of proud of myself for getting through that early in the morning. Any time of day, actually. But so you're aware of, you know, the issues of certifications and those, you know, the training that is needed, not just in city government, but everywhere else, but particularly when we're looking at water and wastewater treatment, there's particular training that is needed. Where are people going into that? Are they looking at that as an option?
They're really not. They're really not. And one of the things that we've realized now as an organization and association that we have got to do is we've got to take the resources that we have and leverage those in recruiting and retaining these folks. We've got to let people know what jobs are out there, what careers are out there. And we're doing it on our own a little bit, but we're not doing it well as an organization.
And kind of how cool some of these jobs are.
Oh, very.
I mean, I keep wanting to do a story for our newspaper about the odd and interesting things that these wastewater treatment plant people find in the filter, but I keep being told no. Probably it's a good thing.
Listen, if you live next to the water treatment plant, you may think differently. But yeah, people don't realize within a city, for instance, you've got engineers. You've got sometimes architects, folks that serve in planning and zoning. You have very high-level IT people because you're running, you know, in information technology systems and cyber technology and all these kinds of things. It is like everything you can imagine under one roof.
So what are the next steps? What's going to happen with this report? You've got the report out there. What's going to happen?
I think a couple of things. One, we're recommending to the board and to the association that we continue, not as a task force, but as a committee, to continue to look at this issue and what we can do to help our municipalities with workforce development and retention.
Right.
And secondly, again, we've got to leverage who we are as an association as we go out and promote the wonderful jobs and the honorable jobs that are associated with working for a municipality. Every day when I go down to City Hall, I see people that are very proud to work for the city of Statesboro, and I'm sure that's the same way throughout the state.
You hear about them, they feel like they have a purpose. They're not just working for a paycheck, they're working for a purpose. This past year during Georgia Cities Week, Kelly Bennett interviewed a couple city employees about their jobs and what it means to them. And I think one of my favorites was the guy who works in animal control, who said the best part of his job is returning a lost animal to its owner. And it just, and he goes out there with that purpose every day to help people. And I'm so excited about where we're going with this, because I think there are such great people out there doing wonderful work. And the big thing too we always talk about is people leave their communities. Young people leave their communities and don't come back because there aren't jobs. But there are jobs, and they're at City Hall.
There are, and I will tell you, one of the great things about being mayor is being able to recognize people when they retire. And we do it, unfortunately, on more of a regular basis than I would like, but that's just the genesis of who we are and what happens. But I can say without fail, every single retirement that we have honored, the person retiring has cried.
Wow.
And everybody else does too. It has meant so much to them, their service, and to be recognized by their peers and to be recognized by everybody else. They look back with honor and gratitude and a very large sense of self-worth at what they have accomplished. And to watch that every council meeting, you realize the value of what you do and what we do.
And it is, as you mentioned, a lot more retirements because they've got the baby boomers who are retiring, and I think city governments are competing just like everybody else for those good employees. And maybe it's the perception of government work is not as positive as we would like it to be, and that starts, I think, at the national level and kind of trickles down. And so it is going to be a hard road to hoe, but I'm excited about getting the word out about, hey, city government, it's a cool place. It's like Parks and Rec, the TV show. Who wouldn't want to work there?
And I think part of what you're saying that's absolutely true is, when do you see city government on television? When it's city council and they're fighting. Nobody goes to show the lovely, the great kumbaya city council meeting. That doesn't happen. They show the fight, and so everybody thinks that's what you get, a bunch of people fighting and those poor folks that have to work for them, and that's not, that's not true.
No, it's not.
Maybe sometimes, but not all the time. Not the vast majority of the time.
Well, we appreciate your work on that task force and look forward to, continuing work as a committee where we go with this and really getting the word out there and saying, who can we pull into the city government family that we love.
We're going to do great things.
Yes,
you just watch. It's going to be good.
Great. Thank you so much.
Right,
Have a great weekend.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.